Hi, this is Alex Quibido, and I'm here to present ProTech Activity Manager. So this software solution was engineered specifically for the construction industry, for the subcontractor all the way up to the general contractor, and everyone in between. So what it does better than any other is it simply connects the office to the field or the shop. So in this video, I'm going to explain how this is valuable for a custom cabinet shop. So what we're looking at now is the project manager login screen. The first thing that they're going to see is a list of all of their projects and timelines in a Gantt chart view. Now, each of these projects can be selected. When you select a project, you'll get a list of all the scopes. Now, for a cabinet shop, this is most likely going to be workstations. So, for instance, we're looking at panel processing, edge banding, doweling, and so on. Now, when you click on a scope, you get a list of all the tasks that make up that scope. Now, these tasks are each individually going to be assigned to one responsible party, and then if the task requires more than one person, there'll be assistants. But every task is only going to have one responsible party whose job it is to input that task is complete. And this is how that happens. And this is where the connection from the shop to the field takes place. Once your project is built out and you have these tasks, your workers or your contractors in the shop or in the field are going to have a mobile app. And when they log in, the first thing that they're going to see is their current assigned task. Okay? Now, in the case of your employees or your direct hires, they'll need to check in. And so this works as a time clock. Now, every task already has the project, the scope, and all of the details associated with it. What that means is when they check in, their in-progress task is automatically going to start counting time towards that task. Now, when they complete that task and they click submit, the next task is going to populate. And if that's a different project with a different scope, your time clock is going to reflect all of that. So in order to get very detailed reports all the way down to the task level, meaning that so you can report on project time, you can report on scope time, and you also can report on task time. All that is required of the worker is to check in and check out. Okay, so when they complete a task and submit it, it's going to go to the project manager, the foreman in the shop or the field. It'll be their responsibility to inspect the task and mark it as accepted or rejected. If it's accepted, then these Gantt charts are all going to be automatically updated. If it's rejected, the foreman will need to input a reason why, and then it'll go back to the worker in the field. It's going to take over there. It's going to pause what they were working on. It's going to populate on top and basically say, look, you need to rework this, and this is what you need to do different. Okay? And so it's that simple to get task completion data from the field or the shop into your project management software. All right, so now we'll go over project setup. So if we come over here to projects, these are going to be the projects that you've already set up and operating. So we're going to look at create new project. You're going to have two options. You're going to have from scratch, and you're going to have templates. So what these templates are projects that you've already completed, meaning that you've built out these projects with forecasted durations. You then executed the project, and what you get here is actual duration. Now, this is incredibly valuable, especially if you do projects that are similar, because once you complete the project, now it's no longer a forecast. It's actual data, which is very valuable. And the more times that you use this template, the better it will be. So off to new projects. So say we're starting from scratch. So you'll enter your project name, your customer name, working days, working hours, whether you want pictures after completion, lead times, task approaching. So each of these columns, so this is going to be a chart that extends as far left, far to the side, and as far to the bottom as you need to fill in your data. But each of these columns is going to be your scopes, and then you're going to have a responsible party. So like for a cabinet shop, you would put panel processing. And then you would assign who it is responsible to complete that task. And then when you add a task name, dependent task, and then a description. Now, this chart is hierarchical, meaning that so to the right, everything on each row is going to happen at the same time. One row below happens after. Okay, so that's the default hierarchy. That's the way to look at when you're building this chart out. That's the way to think about it. But if you need to change a hierarchy, you have this dependent task here. So let's say the default hierarchy based off of the chart rules doesn't work for you. You can always edit the dependent task and get that task to fire wherever is necessary. Now, in the case of a cabinet shop, these scopes would be panel processing, edge banding, dialing, so on and so forth. And that would be what you see right here under scopes. Whatever you type in on the top of those columns is how these are going to be identified, and you can look at each of those different stations and see how they're tracking. So if we go into projects here, this gives us the ability to sort through all of our tasks. So this is incredibly valuable. So there is a role called an owner's role. Now what this gives you the ability to do is invite your customer onto this platform, mostly as a view only, but you can also assign them tasks, okay? And so a subcontractor would be like, say you sub out your installation. My vendor would be someone that needs to deliver something to the project, and then your direct hires and your employees. But the beauty of this owner role here is, especially if you're doing residential cabinets, there's things the owners need to do to keep the project moving forward. Maybe it's design selections, so on and so forth. Okay, so this gives you the ability to assign those tasks to the owner, and then the owner will see those tasks and be notified that it's time to do it, and kind of graciously warned that their installation date is going to continue to slide back until they complete those tasks. And so it kind of, well, we all know that in a lot of cases, it's your customer that gets in the way of progress. And so this is kind of a good way of bringing them onto the team. They have access, so this is what they're going to see. They're going to see all of the projects assigned to them, or all of their projects rather. So if this is a first-time customer and you just have one project, they're only going to see the one project. But they will see the scopes and they'll see the tasks for that project, so they can keep an eye on how things are going. But then they'll also be able to see tasks that are assigned to them. And so this would be their task, what they need to do, when it's due by, and they can look ahead and see how that's happening. Incredibly valuable to be able to bring your customer in to the platform. Next, we'll look at reports. And so we have quality report. This is simply just going to show you a relationship between the accepted task and the rejected task. You can sort that per project. You can sort that per worker, contractor, vendor. Gives you a grade on how the overall quality of the work. The timeliness report, this is going to give you a comparison of forecasted time to actual time. Now, this is valuable for a cabinet shop because this will give you insight as to how you need to allocate your time for the next job. Um, Cost report, this would be if for some reason you had a change order. This kind of keeps an eye on what your original cost was compared to what your actual cost end up being. And if it's in the case of a vendor or a subcontractor that's finding reasons to charge you, I mean, this will show that clearly. Your custom report, this just gives you an option from every metric in the system. You can filter and sort whatever if you have a question, this can be used to answer it. And then your billing report is going to produce all of your completed and accepted tasks within a time range. And if you choose, you can filter by a subcontractor. If not, you can filter by the whole project. And it'll give you a list of completed and accepted tasks during that time frame. All right, so the next thing we're going to look at is in-house processes. And so I owned and operated a cabinet shop for 15 years, and one of the biggest challenges was transferring my knowledge to a new employee or to any employee for that matter. Okay, and so what's been built here is a very easy way to create and transfer a process, and we'll go through it. So I'm going to use turning on the edge bender as an example. So we've had a pretty large edge bender, had a glue pot, and there was a series of tasks that needed to happen in the right sequence in order to get the edge bender ready to operate. Okay, and oftentimes operators would forget, they would miss a step, and cause problems. And so if we're tackling that, I'm gonna come here and put turn on edge bender. Okay, and so what we'll do is first task, turn on edge bender. The description, this is to turn on the edge bender. But then right here, we can upload a video, or we can select the camera option. Now what that allows you to do is go into the shop, stand in front of the edge bender, type in the task name and the description, and then video yourself actually doing the task and save it. And that's task 1. You do that through every task that is required. So, you got to turn your control power on, your main power on, you got to turn the glue pot on. So you can stand in front of the machine and video yourself pushing the right buttons and then incorporate that into a task. Now, when you're done creating that process, on the mobile app, what the employees in the shop are going to have is this on the app, they're going to have in-house processes. Now, from here, they would find turn the edge bender on, okay? And then they would click on the details, and then, we would have everything required to operate the edge bender. And for this case, let's just say this is turn the edge bender on. Now you have a list of all the tasks required to be successful at that. Now you can start at task 1, or you can start at task 8. But when you click on a task, that's going to be where you get the title, the detailed description, and then your pictures and videos of it actually happening. And once you complete that task, you can go to the next one and work your way through all of these tasks until you've completed. I use turn on edge bender as an example, but the data that's in here is initial inspection. So I think you get the idea. It's incredibly easy to build out new processes and then transfer them. As soon as you complete it, it's available to everyone that is a direct hire of yours, and then you can edit any processes here too as needed. Next is going to be team management. So my team is going to be all of your employees, is all of your direct hires. I'll jump down to subcontractor and vendor. So this is going to be where you input any of your subcontractors or vendors that you need to invite to the platform to complete tasks for you to ensure that a project gets completed. Okay. Now my teams, this is going to be the team specific to every project. So you'll have a combination of direct hires, vendors, and subcontractors, whatever is required to complete individual projects. So this will be the list that you select from when you're assigning tasks over here. So when you need to assign this column of tasks, the only options that you're going to have are the team members for that project. So it kind of keeps it. If you have 100 employees, you can narrow it down per project, which employees are in each project, and just kind of gives you a better idea of how to allocate your workforce. So that's a quick overview of ProTech Activity Manager and how it can work for cabinet shops. Very excited about this product. I was spent 20 years as a custom cabinet builder for commercial contractors, and it was very difficult to connect the office to the field and the shop, and this does it seamlessly. So if you have any questions or feedback, I'd love to hear it. Looking forward to hearing from you.